Hi, this is János, this is Real World Audio, and this is my second part of answering Nigel's question on folded Voigt pipes. And here it is. I did a little drawing about it. Here is a traditional Voigt pipe with the driver in the center, and that bit down there, that's the mouth of the pipe, and that's just the direction of the air just going in and out. So it's just to easier visualize that the air is just going in and out right there. And basically we have like a tapering horn, that's the Voigt pipe itself, and when the driver moves back and forth, then it will create pressure fluctuations that bounce from the bottom to the top, bottom, top, bottom, top. So that's how the pressure goes. That's how the sound waves work inside the cabinet, and that's how they get amplified, and then finally they exit through the mouth there, and they get sucked in. That's how they bounce. And now when you have a folded pipe, here this is how universally people fold it. When you look online, quarter wave pipe, TQVP or QTWP, or different ways of saying it, then you see that basically it's like folding the pipe back, the top of it onto itself, and they make it so that the internal divider faces to the front, where the driver is and where the mouth is. And now Nigel has noticed that, and that's why I'm making a video for him, because he's paying attention, that I recommended folding it the other way. So the internal divider doesn't fold towards the driver, towards the front, but it tapers towards the back. And why am I doing that? Is there a reason for that, or was it a typo? And there is a reason, actually three reasons for doing that. Number one reason is that I have noticed, and many of you have noticed as well, that the straight Voigt pipe, here this version is the one that has the best mid-range, that has the best sound. And basically the advantage of folding a pipe is that it looks more like a conventional loudspeaker. And also the second advantage, which is very practical for Nigel, is that you can fit into places where a tall pipe, this fellow, would not fit, because maybe you have a room in a loft that has a limited space to put the speakers, and then you have no other choice but to fold the pipe. So that's a very reasonable reason to fold the pipe, because it's better to be able to place a speaker than not place a speaker. Yeah. So in that case, you can't make any other choice but to go a folded way. And however, why am I folding it? Because here, as you see, I have placed this little red blob here at the top of the pipe. Why did I do that? Because when you have the pressure fluctuation bouncing up and down, what happens when the sound wave is going down, then because the pipe opens up, the tapering opens up, there's lower air pressure there, so it's like a low pressure zone, and which means that it makes the panels of the cabinet move very gingerly, very lightly, and it gives it plenty of time to just get the energy into the panel, and the panel can dissipate that energy to the air around you. So basically, in other words, we are looking at low pressure, low wind speeds, right? And when the pressure waves moves up, it tapers down, and at the very top, looking at this top area, like the top couple inches, top 5 inches, top 20 centimeters, there the pressure is very high, and it's going to cause really stress out the cabinet and cause a lot of extra resonances because of that high pressure. So the frequencies between about 2 kilohertz to 20 kilohertz, those really high frequencies, especially because of the tapering. The narrower the taper, the higher frequencies it supports. So those high frequencies crammed into a very tight space, they want to get out, and it's just overly pressurized. So there's like a danger zone up here, which actually decreases the sound quality of the pipes. And why am I saying that? Because we did experimentations on this with my mentor, the late Stu Ono, and we solved this problem. So actually we just theoretized this problem, which is not real theory. If you look at any textbook you can figure out, but it was Stu's idea just to drill a couple holes on the top to relieve that extra high pressure. And actually I did that on my pipe, and it improved a lot on the clarity of the sound and stability of the 3D image, just to relieve that high pressure zone. And now, because of that, so what happens when I make it into a folded pipe? So I bring this high pressure zone down, right? Down there. And now, if I fold it towards the front, then I have the high pressure zone facing me and telegraphing and communicating all that problematic information which is interfering with what the driver is communicating to me, and that creates a smear from the mid-range on to the high frequencies. And that partially is why why a folded pipe is not as good in the mid-range, doesn't have that mid-range clarity, because of this high pressure zone decreasing the clarity of the driver. So that's why I fold it towards the back, because then that high pressure zone is not radiating towards me, it's radiating towards the back, and it just gets molded into the ambience, into the ambient sound that gets reflected back to you from the walls, and there it's not as destructive, not to the imaging and clarity of the sound, as if it was coming at you directly at the same time and in the same direction, on the same axis as the driver is talking to you. So that's number one, better clarity. Number two is that when you fold it towards the back, you see, then the fold reaches down to the bottom of the cabinet. When we fold to the front, we have the fold needs to finish before the mouth of the port. So it means that however tall your port is, that much taller your pipe is. So it supports longer frequencies than folding it towards the front. So by folding it to the back, you get lower extension, usually by half a note or so, and also better clarity for the mid-range, high frequencies, and better imaging. And another thing which was more of a theoretical aspect why I folded backwards, because I was looking at it as from the perspective of an invention, like how do you go on about taking a Voigt pipe and folding it. What is the most efficient way of folding a pipe back? So if you just take the top of the pipe, this part, and fold it towards the back, that's when you get what I recommend as folding the pipe, so that you get one transformation difference between the original Voigt pipe design and my folding. So that's one single transformation. So that's kind of still close to the original pipe. Now, how do you get this aspect that you find online, that TQWP or QTWP? For that, you need to fold not just the top section, but you fold the driver itself, you fold everything on back on itself, so it's already like not just the top, but the driver itself, so it's like a bigger transformation. And then you have to flip the port as well, the opening, to the other side. So you have 2 transformations that take you away from the original Voigt pipe versus 1 transformation, and as so you get further away from what you want as an ideal source, the highest quality source, and you also get this problem here of high frequency, high pressure zone building up, and lower, I mean more compromised low frequency based on this part. So I think this is what I really wanted to share in this video. Plus Nigel also asked about the size of the mouth, that he said generally people have a shorter or narrower mouths than what I recommend for my pipe, and actually I think I have given copious responses to that in my previous videos, but as I have like 1,000+ videos, it might be a little hard to find the relevant videos where I talk about that. Is that the height of the port really, in my experience, what the best is depends a lot on your room and on your driver, and you have to experiment to find out what works best for you. And for me, what worked the best with those drivers that I recommend, which would be like the Fostex drivers that I showed in the previous video for Nigel, and the Cube Audio driver and the Sonido driver for high-level tube equipment without feedback, and relatively decent room acoustics with long enough room, then that will just give fantastic results. But if you use different drivers, I think for the Mark Audio I would significantly reduce the length of the port, and also if the room doesn't work out as well as it does, and sometimes it's really hard to predict. That's why I'm talking like that you have to experiment and try it out for yourself. Then you can just fill it up more, or if you want to experiment the other way around, then just create a longer front baffle and then just cut off pieces of it and then see how it sounds. But then if you cut it too big, then you can't really go back. So I would say just make it like opening bigger, and then put like pieces of wood on top of it, bigger and bigger and bigger, to see if you get improvement with that or not, until you find what you need. And sometimes what you find is that your amplifier and the driver, they don't match up well, and I would say amplifier, driver, room, the trio of these guys, if they work really well together, then a large mouth will give you, the larger the mouth, it will give you the more natural bass response. It will be instant, like instant, effortless, expansive, mind-blowing, liquid, really deep bass. That's what you are getting if your mouth is really big. And the smaller your mouth is, the more pressurized the sound will be, and it will be more artificial and more forceful. But sometimes you will need to go that way, because if your room amplifier and driver doesn't support that liquidity, then you must go towards that way, and it can be so extreme that, and I think usually with solid state gear it can be like that you need to go towards taking it more towards like a mass loaded transmission line path, when you drastically reduce the mouth size and create an internal port for it, and make it a slot port or a circular port. It's up to you. I would prefer using a slot port, but that's me. So I think that's about it. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope this video helps a lot of Voigt pipers. So good luck, Nigeria. Good night, team. Bye bye.